Hey, Caleb here, the founder of Patriot Training Center, and today we're going to talk about gun belts, specifically for concealed carrying, or EDC as the kids are calling it these days, everyday carry. All right, we're going to talk about what goes into a good gun belt, kind of what you need, and the belts that I've used in the past, and kind of what I've settled on now after around 10 years of concealed carrying and trying to figure out what works best. All right, so let's get into it. Okay, so for gun belts, one of the first things that you need to make sure that it's stiff enough to support the gun on your body, okay? Now, there's a nuance to this which we're going to go into and kind of why this video was made. But basically, you need a belt that's rigid enough to support the weight of the holster and the gun, and if you're carrying extra magazines, and you need something that will support that too. This is very important if you're carrying outside the waistband as a concealment method. You put the clothes over it, but it's outside the waistband, because then the belt has to do a lot more work, okay? So that's one thing it has to do, and then the belt also has to pull all this into your center line, okay? So that even right now, I'm wearing like a size medium t-shirt, show off the guns, but it drapes pretty well, and this gun that I'm carrying right now is pretty well concealed, okay? Just by the fabric hanging down. That's because the belt's doing its job and it's pulling it in. If we push on it a little bit, of course you can see it. You can see kind of everything under the clothes. But, okay, this one that I'm wearing right now is the V Development Group belt. This is specifically made for appendix carry, which is the way I'm carrying the gun right now, Glock 43X with a Dark Star gear holster. That's not the topic of this video, so we'll talk about this later probably. All right, but this is the one that I've been carrying pretty often now for the last, I guess, year or two. And I really like it, and we'll go into why I like it. But basically, this is specifically made for appendix, and it's only really stiff up here in the front, where the gun is actually carried. Okay, so it has that important feature that we're looking for. It's stiff enough to support the weight of the gun, but the rest of it is like kind of regular nylon belt material that you can just grab and you can squeeze with your hand. So you can see here it's all flexible down here, and it's stiff here where it has to hold the gun. So some of the reasons why this is beneficial is because the stiff part here is stiff enough to support the weight of the gun, but the rest of it is soft enough to kind of conform to your body shape, okay? That gets kind of important when you're wearing like thin concealment garments, because the belt can actually create like this hula hoop effect, and that will actually show that it'll just look weird. It may conceal the gun, but it can do some weird things with like wedges and these other devices that we have attached to holsters these days that to give us optimum concealment. And then the other thing, I don't have back problems. Well, I've had back problems in the past, but stiff belts have never bothered me. But there's a lot of guys that say like a traditional, really, really stiff gun belt on the back, it really hurts their lower back if they wear it all day. I never really had that problem, even though I've worn some stiff belts in the past. But that is a thing to consider, and that's kind of another reason why I like this. Another thing that is relevant to the war belt or battle belt discussion that is in a different video is that the other thing I like about this is the entire belt is covered in Velcro, and I'll talk about that kind of in the battle belt video. But basically, this can also act as like an inner belt for any type of battle belt system. And then the buckle here is just your typical little, you slide it in, it goes over, and then you can easily adjust it with Velcro. And that gives you a very, very slim buckle, because the buckle is also something that you have to conceal. So some of these belts have really big buckles, and it makes it hard to conceal, and we'll kind of talk about that in a couple seconds here. So let me grab a different belt. Let me show you the first belt that I started with, and I carried this thing for years when I was carrying a strong side 3 o'clock. This here is the Wilderness Instructor gun belt, and these are bomb proof. I bought this and carried it for absolute tons of years. You can see all kinds of fraying and stuff, but it still works awesome. But there's still some things about this that we can talk about. All right, so let's go ahead and let's go to the tactical tabletop, and we'll take a look at these different belts and see the differences. All right, so we got all the belts here on the table. And this is the V Development Group belt that I was talking about that I really like, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Let's first talk about the original belt that I started out with, and this is the Wilderness Tactical Instructor gun belt. This thing is super, super awesome as far as being like super supportive, and you can see you like literally cannot bend this thing from the top and bottom. So it will definitely hold the weight of a gun and magazines and anything else that you have, particularly if you're carrying outside the waistband, if that's your method of concealed carry, or if you're one of those people that open carries, this would be perfect for that, because this thing is super stiff and supportive. And again, I carried this for years. It's got this huge buckle here, which is super heavy duty. This little loop here, I guess you could like hang out of helicopters and stuff like that. I don't know if you'll need that, but it's got this ratchet system, which is really secure and everything, easy to adjust. And again, I carried with this for years. As you can see, it holds the shape of the circle. Super duper supportive, super adjustable. These things are extremely well made, and really didn't have a problem with it. But this buckle here can be a little hard to conceal sometimes. I was carrying 3 o'clock with this though, so kind of the advantage there is you had a belt buckle where you would normally have it in the front of your body, and then because the gun was over here at 3 o'clock, you weren't having to conceal 2 things at once. So it worked really good for that. But as you can see, the front of this, if you're going to carry appendix, right, this is where it's kind of like the only spot that it's not stiff is where the Velcro is, or where it attaches. So you would have to put the belt buckle over to the side, so you have a stiff area where you're going to put your holster and gear and stuff like that. Another belt from Wilderness Tactical, because they're so good, that I tried out was this, I believe it's called their Frequent Flyer belt. But Kyle DeFore talked about on his Instagram, he liked how you could go through security because these buckles are not, they're not metal. And that buckle is obviously a little slimmer than your normal, this big metal buckle here. So this is a very slimmer belt. I don't like the way that it's like thinner as far as width. I like the 1.5 that fills up your entire belt loop. I think that's important. But it's so stiff, it still can support the weight of a gun pretty easily. And again, the whole thing is stiff and it'll hold the shape, except for the part that has the Velcro on it that goes through the attachment system here. So this is not a bad choice as well, especially again if you're carrying 3 o'clock, and then you can always move the buckles kind of to the side if you're going to carry appendix. So then let's talk about some other gun belts too. These are, I believe both of these are made by Blue Alpha Gear. This one here is kind of very standard as well as like a gun belt that you could get. This is, Warrior Poet Society and Blue Alpha Gear kind of thing. I don't know what the relationship is there, but anyways, again, this is super stiff. This is great for carrying all your gear and stuff like that, so that's fine. And again, the only flexible part is the part that adjusts. And the kind of benefit of this over kind of the Wilderness is like how slim this buckle design is. So buckles can print just as easily, but of course when you get that in there, it's pretty slim. So that's a good design, and it's kind of the kind of belt type of stuff that I like. Again, this is sometimes so stiff that you can get like a, and why I kind of moved away from the super stiff belts is you can actually get like a hula hoop effect, to where this belt here is the stuff that's actually printing underneath your clothes. Like your holster and everything will be concealed fine, but this is so stiff and holds its shape so rigidly that the belt will actually print. Okay, so that's kind of why I've moved away from the really stiffer belts. And just real quick, this is another belt. This is actually an inner belt. As you can see, it's covered in Velcro all around, and this is important with the whole battle belt concept, because this goes into your belt loops, and then the battle belt goes on and attaches by Velcro all around here and makes it really secure. Again, I kind of switched to this V development group, but before I did that, Frank Proctor has a really cool concealed carry belt. This is Velcro that I added because maybe I got the wrong size or whatever, but I needed a little more Velcro for me to attach this here. And again, you can see this kind of got some of the best features that I started really liking in my belts, which is this really slim buckle here where it goes through, right? And then you come back and the Velcro attaches on itself. Again, I need a little more Velcro because maybe I got the wrong size or I just need it. But what's really cool, and I thought this was neat, is he's got these like little loops where you can stick stuff in there. And the thing is, that's an awesome idea. I just kind of didn't use them as much as I wanted, but you can stick magazines in there, pistol magazines, flashlights, medical gear is really what I was thinking is, this would be a way that I could every day carry some extra medical gear and still have it be concealed, even though it's kind of like outside the waistband. One of the cool things about this is, again, this kind of got me on this concept of it's only stiff on the areas where it would be carrying the gun. So depending on where you put the belt buckle, you would kind of line up the stiff areas. So it's stiff here, stiff here, stiff here, all the places where it's got these loops to like support extra gear, and then it's very like conforming to your body with these other ones. So then I ran that for a while, and really this is an awesome belt. I think my only complaint about it was, and you could like modify this, is this would poke me a little bit, some of the Velcro or something like that, but really cool belt, and I would not hesitate to recommend this. And I think he's got updated versions of this that are even better. I just haven't tried them out yet. You can see that's pretty worn. I wore it out a lot. And then this one, like I said, is the V Development Group belt, and this is the one that I've been rocking most these days. And as you can see, the entire belt is completely flexible. So it conforms to your body, and you don't get that hula hoop effect that you would get with these really, really stiff belts when you're carrying concealed. But it has this very stiff area right here, just in the front, because this is specifically made for like appendix carry, okay? And so because you're carrying inside the waistband, kind of the overall theme here that you'll realize when you start experimenting with this type of stuff is outside the waistband for sure, and then outside the waistband for sure, you need a stiff gun belt, and that's really, really important. Inside the waistband though, because you have your waistband and the belt is like pulling it into you, it really doesn't have to be that stiff, and you can kind of get away with a little more flexible belt. It's still a good idea to have some amount of stiffness in the area that you actually want to put the holster on, because that is a lot of weight, especially if you're carrying an extra magazine. And then finally, again, this has got a very, very slim buckle, even more slim than the Proctor design, which is like the two kind of things here. And then this is even more slim. But really, the other cool thing that I like about this is the entire thing is Velcro, which goes back to this inner belt idea from the battle belt setup. This is the one that comes with the Blue Force Gear battle belt. Blue Alpha, I'm sorry. Blue Alpha. Blue Force Gear is a different company. But this Velcro entirety on the outside of it is a really cool idea. Again, it would eliminate some of the stuff where I had to add some Velcro, but even more important, you could actually run this as your like inner belt if you decided to plus up from your everyday carry right away to a battle belt situation. Which, you know, I mean, what are the odds of that? But I mean, if you wanted like a really quick reaction, if you had some gear, like a you know what hits the fan type of deal, then you could immediately switch from your concealed carry setup to running a battle belt on top of it. So there you go. That's pretty much what I got for you when it comes to EDC belts or concealed carry belts. Again, I'm rocking this V Development Group belt. I really like it as far as like a very minimal type setup if you're just carrying an appendix holster. If you got some other gear that you're carrying, you may have to play with some different things. Another tip is making sure you can play with the belt buckle placement. A lot of times when you're carrying appendix, it's a good idea to take the belt buckle and run it through the loops and like put it through here or maybe over to the side even more, so you free up some more space here, and so that belt buckle isn't the thing that's printing and giving you away. And that's pretty much it. I like this because again, the outer belt system, like battle belt type thing, you can plus it up really good. But that's what I got for you. So hopefully this helps you out, and we'll see you next time.